Hi everybody, it's Diane from Diane's Corner. I'm over here standing outside my door. I was going to try to show you the beautiful home I've been looking at during the Christmas season with the lights all decorated, and I'm not sure if the signal's going to allow me to, so I'm going to turn it around and we'll see what you can catch here. But it's so pretty. There, across the street. Isn't that pretty? So now this is the home of the plumber, William and Sara May Buckman. And they built this home in 1953. And at that time, I'm gonna just go back in time a little bit. This North Hill was pretty empty. But that house had a 2-story house on it, the one with the lights right there. And that was where Pat and Jen O'Brien lived. Since then, that house has been taken out and a new one built. But that little garage is kind of a little remembrance of that corner. But anyway, yeah, so Jim and Sean and Shelley and Kiddo, we all played up here on this hill until they moved out into the country. So there were like 6 trees out in front here of our home, and we would play by the hours out here. We'd play dress up with the girls, and we'd pretend that we were there. It seems to me I'm going to come in the house. It doesn't want to connect out there too well. So I'm going to go over here into the house and talk about William and Sara May Buckman, the plumber. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to start over here. 1943, they were courting and they got married. And Dad Bill was on furlough. And so he was sent over to the Battle of the Bulge. In fact, there's the sign with the Battle of the Bulge. And that was the lightning division that he was in. On this picture, you might be able to find it. But anyway, there's the United States flag. So this is how they started their marriage. Was they were married a week and then he was off to the war. And that was kind of traumatizing, actually. You can see he did get a Purple Heart and was wounded in action in the Battle of the Bulge. And I was just going to read this to you because it is a little book that was given to the soldiers. And it's a prayer book. And it also has scriptures in it. And it says, "My decision, believing that the Lord Jesus Christ died for me. 1, I accept him as my Savior. I believe he has blotted out my sins. I will acknowledge him before others and trust him day by day. If by the grace of God you have made the above decision, put your own name instead of whosoever in John 3:16 and sign it on the blank below. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that William A. Buckman, who believeth in him, should not perish but have everlasting life." And I share that with you because they started their marriage with trauma, and they loved each other, and their hearts were really formed over 63 years of marriage with several different forms of trauma. Well, I just dropped my papers here. So I'm going to say there's their wedding picture, the August 5th, 1943. And here we have our little curio cabinet. And I dropped my papers. Okay, so I can stay tuned here for what we want to talk about a little bit here. So there I am. We are going to start with, okay, so they got married in 1943, and then he got discharged in 1945, and they moved a lot in their early years of marriage. They had to go to various hospitals. Dad had a ruptured appendix in France and shrapnel in his legs. And so he went into a variety of military hospitals to get all that cleaned up. And so that was how they, by 1947 though, they were living in Mandan, and he was working for the railroad, which he had done before. He got World War II, so he just took on his railroad position. And Irv was born in Mandan Hospital there, and they got transferred to Medora to work at the pumping station where they were still having the steam engine driving the railroad. So that actually came to a change in 1953 when they didn't need the steam engines anymore. So that's when they had the decision to move to Belfield, and they started Buckman Plumbing. I'm sorry, that wasn't 1953. That was about, well, they moved around in Belfield for a few homes, but I know that they started building this home in the fall of 1953, and they finished it about this time, about Christmas time, and it was about this kind of nice weather too. And Mom always loved the floors because Bill Cordonori, she watched him place every board in place. So throughout the house are these beautiful hardwood floors. So busy days of indoor plumbing were coming, and they were busy putting up. There's my my map here on the floor from the other day when I was talking about the Owens coming from Wales. So, but now there's the hallway also with the nice flooring. So let's see. I'm gonna just kind of come over here and see if I can flip it around again. There. Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna put it on the windowsill because I want to keep myself going here so I don't forget what I'm doing. So the family grew up, and we were centered in church and school, and all kinds of friends in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And well, they had a mom and pop business, and once in a while there would be a break in the work schedule, and we'd get a vacation to the Black Hills or Yellowstone, or even to Montana to visit some cousins of Dad's. And Sundays were restful, and drives to the Badlands and Medora and visiting friends. And so the dates of the children being born were, Irving was born January 22nd, 1947. I said that in Mandan. Then they moved to Medora, where Ruth and I were born. Diane came first, me, August 24th, 1949. And then my sister came a year later, almost a year. It was August 22nd. So we share the same couple days of age. And then the next brother that came was Billy, and he came in 1956, and Julie came in 1958, and Julie is the one that didn't survive childbirth. So there were like traumas in every family, and like we are experiencing right now. It just seems like there are daily situations that call for your faith to rise up and let the Lord heal your soul. So, well, when Billy came in 1956, I was 7, Irv was 9, I was 7, yeah, and Ruth was about 6. And so he was the joy of our lives. We were just old enough to really have fun with him, and we did. He gave us a lot of joy for about 4.5 years, because his life was cut short when on August 9th, 1960, we were on a Girl Scout camping trip, and he and another little boy that were with us walked into the Dickinson Dam, which was in a place where the water was very deep, and there was no chance for them to survive. But I tell this story because we have so much trauma in our lives these days, and it could have been a split. And my dad and my brother were working up in Watford City. So it turned out to be a huge traumatic thing for our lives. And it touched each one of us because there was the joy of our life gone. So we had to adjust to his loss. And I can remember my dad and my mom talking about it because they kept their faith and their love, and there was no blame to anybody. And that was so wonderful to experience that and see it. And Wiley's lived across the alley where Sneeds live now. Jack Wiley, and they were great friends. And I have to tell you, the friends came through, the love came through, and we got through it. It wasn't easy. But definitely the Lord is more powerful. And over the years, you just recognize how He laid it out for us to enjoy each other, enjoy our friends, and we cannot ever really be so grateful for friendship. No matter what happens, the joys and also the sorrow. I did not know this, but there was a situation during that day. We were very busy, of course, but the first person my dad went to was Sonny Thompson, and I didn't know that. But I got to talk to Sonny one time, and he said, yeah, he came to see me right away. You see, Sonny had had a situation, Sonny and Barb, they had had a situation that was similar of loss. Their first two boys were born, but they did not survive only a couple days. And that was early in their marriage. So, you see, those kind of friendships are very important. And not to let it bother, not to let it stop. My dad had this belief and faith, and my mom did too, which I started out with, that they were not going to be bitter, but they were very forgiving in so many areas all through their lives. So that is what created a beautiful home and friends and lots of tea parties. And I remember, I got to tell you the story about teacups because we talked about Gloria and Joe yesterday. Gloria and Joe Hurt came over here one day, and we used to play this game where we'd get so involved with our playing that we'd convince our parents that they should stay. Well, they stayed for 3 days and camped over here, and we had tea parties and cookies, and it just kind of had a little vacation here in the house. That was fun. And we'd go over to the hotel and do the same thing. Gloria would say, hey, let's go to sleep early, or pretend to go to sleep early. We'll get in bed, and then your parents will come, and they'll think you're sleeping, and then you can stay overnight. And we did that several times. So there are so many stories, but Dad had the plumbing and heating business here. At age 65, he retired, and they started going on bus trips, and they had many, many fun bus trips. They enjoyed their retirement, and their friends up at Trapper's Kettle, and Adeline and Jim Huglin were dear friends. And again, what else? They worked as a team. Everything was centered here in the kitchen. I guess that's why I'm in the kitchen, because everything, the phone is on the wall here. That's where we got our phone calls at noon when Dad would come for lunch. He would sit at the table, and the telephone would ring, and we'd all be quiet, of course, and he'd get talking and stuff like that. It was always really interesting to hear what was going on around town. We were quite involved in the whole situation. So But we had such order in the home. On Monday, we did the laundry, and at the beginning, I can remember early 50s, we had the old Maytag, and we'd be running up and down the steps with the wash and taking it out to the clothesline. And then Tuesday, we'd be ironing the shirts and all those things. And then Wednesday, we'd be dusting around and getting things all straightened out. And then Thursday would be cooking, and then Friday was a little bit more cleaning for the weekend. And then, like I said, Saturday and Sunday. Well, Saturday, Dad would work too. He also worked on Saturdays. If there was, it always seemed to be something to fix in those days where he was putting indoor plumbing in. But he also went out to the ranches and did plumbing out there. So he'd be gone all day, and we'd look around, and we'd be playing outside usually. So we took advantage of the neighborhood. It was a hill with nobody on it, and the Gerbigs moved into town when about first grade there, and Jim and Sean and the Gordon and Brian, Wayne, they like to play with the hay needles on the hill and have hay needle fights. And Cindy Dietz was the other girl on the block. It's my sister Ruth and myself and Cindy Dietz that were on the sliding hill. But there were all kinds of things going on. Usually Ruth and I, we were playing dress up. We were playing with the prom dresses. We were playing with the neighbors' wedding dresses. And Irv, he had a bicycle, so he got with the neighborhood boys, and that sliding hill that doesn't have, when it doesn't have snow on it, it became a bicycle hill. And he did have one of his first things that happened to him was he was riding down the hill. Look at his split, because you saw how steep it was. Well, he got to the end of the hill and he fell off, and he knocked himself out. And so he was unconscious. They had to call, well, I guess Mom called the neighbor or something. Somehow they got, it might have been Lester, because he worked in town here, and got him over to the hospital and got him recovered and stuff like that. And well, our plumbing shop was my dad was in the basement here, and he had his fittings and his bookkeeping, but the pipes were outside. And I can remember one time he was going to be putting in this sink for the drive-in that was coming into Belfield, a new drive-in. And so, of course, he said, stay away from the sink. Okay. Well, Diane and Ruth and Cindy Dietz and a couple other neighbors, I think it was the Bry boys, we decided to play dolls in that kitchen sink. It was deep. It was really deep. So we were playing, and we were playing dolls, and the sink fell on my face. Everybody split. There I was, stuck. And Cindy Dietz, bless her heart, she was a couple years younger, she went and told Mom about it. So they lifted the sink. I couldn't lift the sink off myself, so they lifted the sink off of me, and I had broken my nose. And so again, I think it was Uncle Lester that had to load us up and take us over to the Dickinson Hospital for stitching up my broken nose. So those were different occasions that we had. Usually things went along pretty comfortably and peaceful, but there were times deep in the heart of the Buckman family where there was trauma that the Lord had to take care of in his own timing with his own special remedy of love. And but I do want to say, it just seems like people are going through painful situations consistently every day in this world, and it's something that we need to deal with, and it can make us better or it can make us bitter, and this home, it turned out to be better. So I am so grateful, and there's so much more to tell, but that's it for tonight, and you have a good night, and thanks for joining me at Diane's Corner. Bye now.